As your host, I'm very pleased to welcome you to this very important conference as we campaign to maintain and support our constitutional monarchy in Australia. So I thank you for coming today, and I thank Professor Flint for his work, his faithful work for so many years now in maintaining our constitutional monarchy in Australia. It's so important, part of our heritage, and also it keeps a watchdog over the politicians.
We'll be particularly looking at how this comatose republic, which they're still trying to revive, which they've had so many goes to establish, how this comatose republic is crowding out important issues, and the issue of the day is water. And there is a provision in the Constitution about that, because the founders of this country were very much interested in the impact of federation on water, and there is a provision in the Constitution which was intended to guarantee reasonable access by farmers and others to the water of this nation, and it has been turned into a dead letter.
It's important to remember that in our Constitution, we are not an elected democracy in every branch of the Constitution. We don't elect the judges. We don't elect the bureaucrats. The system is a mixed system of elected and unelected components. And if the issue of republic or non-republic is to be debated again in the future, then that has to be done with people who come from every walk of life in our country. It's got to reflect the principle of inclusion. And if it doesn't, that will be fatal.
I mean, this piece of paper, what it essentially is a commitment from me and from us that we will defend the constitutional arrangements that have really served the test of time. Michael Kirby, to what you've said in terms of diversifying this movement, I mean, that is something that obviously we're focused on doing. I'm confident that the ideas that we're standing for cut across backgrounds, they cut across gender, they cut across race. These are universal truths. We've got a lot of people who maybe don't appreciate the constitutional arrangements, a lot of people who haven't seen them under threat. I think we've got to be very vigilant and make sure that we are enunciating wherever we can some of the great benefits of our current systems.
Thank you so much for also giving me this opportunity to help, to educate, to protect, defend, preserve this Constitution, which has served us so well.
So I was born in 99, so I didn't really get to see much of what happened during the referendum. Our generation, they don't really know how to articulate and how to, have a voice and say the Republic is a bad thing.
There's so much wealth of knowledge going on from all of you gentlemen here today. I'd like that you would write it down in an abridged version so that we may steal it later.
If the people here don't get behind the support for the conservation of what is good in this country, it will fall away. We can't rely upon any other political movement to uphold the values and the institution that is our Constitution.
John Hart said, I suppose you're in favour of the McGarvey model. And I said, absolutely not. He said, what are you in favour of? I said, direct election of the Governor-General by the people. And he flew out of his chair and came round the edge of the desk and he said, but that would absolutely wreck our Constitution. I said, yes, delicious, isn't it?
I'm just wondering with this republic business whether to get to people, whether you turn around and say, well, by becoming a republic, is that going to help our homeless? Is that going to reduce our national debt? Is that going to help our drought-stricken farmers? Is that going to protect our freedom of speech? Because if it's not, we don't need a republic.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Whether you like it or not, the process by which we change our Constitution is by way of the Federal Parliament coming together to agree on legislation to amend it and putting that legislation to the people.
The Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act of 1900 was the product of careful consideration and compromise over 100 years ago. And not enough has been said about our current, almost uniquely Australian arrangements that all adult citizens entitled to vote must decide any constitutional change. I argue that these arrangements make the people the true sovereign under the Australian Constitution and ultimately sovereign over the monarch and any so-called head of state.
This trashing of the Constitution is something that exists, and our parliamentarians are showing contempt for the electorate, for the Constitution, for Parliament.
I honour those who struggled in the referendum of 1999. It was a beautiful moment when that referendum was decided, and we are entitled to a little hubris and joy about that moment. God save